Ready?
Ready. I call the Porter RDC meeting to commission. Starting off strong. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we do the roll call, please?
Allison?
Here?
Bill?
Here.
Russ?
Here.
Pete?
Here.
Beth?
Here.
Jamie?
Okay, did everybody have a chance to review the minutes and specifically the version with Pete's comments or updates?
The revised minutes.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we get a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions on the minutes?
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I did.
Bill.
In the second?
Pete. Pete.
I did.
Thank you for your attention to detail there. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to consideration of claims. Did everybody have a chance to review the claims that were sent? Can I have a motion to approve the claims?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second again.
Okay, any questions on the claims? All in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll approve claims for July. Any comments from the floor? Okay. Mike, over to you.
I requested four companies to send me a quote to do appraisals on the US property. I did get two back, which I actually need two. One's from Vail Appraisal Group at $2,000, and the other one is from Valuation Services LLC for $1,800. So I do have two quotes if we wanted to proceed with that, getting appraisals. So I had our attorney prepare a short document that we sent out earlier about acquisition of property. Did everybody look at that yet or have a chance to see that?
I didn't get a chance to see
I
that.
No.
haven't
Did
seen
you
it.
send it out, Mike?
I don't remember getting it.
I think it got forwarded earlier this afternoon, so for acquisition of real property generally, and then he's got the IC 361419, RDC and approves and adopts a list of real property to be acquired and price to be offered. If property is not for sale at auction and exceeds $25,000, then offer price may not exceed the average of two independent appraisals without specific approval of RDC. And that's typically when we buy right away or something like that, we get two appraisals, and then the offer is the average of the two appraisals. I did speak to the owners. They are interested in selling it, and they are familiar with the process of getting two appraisals to make an offer. So we discussed that already, and they said to go ahead and get appraisals if we're interested in making an offer on it. And then there's some other items on here, but that it's basically the RDC has to come up with a list of properties they want to buy and approve that. So if that was one you guys are interested in, then how do we formally do that?
By resolution.
Just resolution?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
could create the initial one, or if you haven't previously approved one, we could amend the previous one or create a resolution to
I
identify
don't think
them.
we have one yet, so we'd have to do a resolution, and then we can proceed with the appraisals, and then do it that way, okay. So if that's, interest of everybody, then we should probably proceed with preparing a resolution.
Can you give us some additional detail on what's included in a resolution? I'm not super familiar with that process.
Well, it's
I don't know if
identifying,
others are.
yeah, and I'll send it to you well in advance, but
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of laying out what your authority is and the reasons that you're doing it. It's making it formal so that you properly identify what's in your sights, right, for development and along the line, in line with what your districts are for that development. So like I said, it'll be clear. It's mostly form
Yeah.
I mean, there's substance to it in terms of the formalities, but that really is to make sure you're in compliance with those statutory requirements.
Okay. Do we need to have multiple properties listed?
Well, we can amend it, so if you don't have them all in mind, you don't have to have everything possibly that you're gonna identify over
Okay.
your term, but that's the way to get it off the ground.
Okay. Does anybody have another property in mind that we should talk about adding to that? Or are we all in agreement and kind of starting with this one and then we can amend from there as new things come up?
I do have a question for you, though, just under these alternative options, you know,
Yeah.
that we could explore those. You certainly should have that resolution in general if you had a bunch, but it might be worth me breaking down or being a little more specific after consulting with Mike on this property, that if we could do a less cumbersome, more straightforward version, you know, that might be an option too. So in addition to this more formal procedure with this resolution, which at some point you will need to develop, we can see if there's an easier way.
I think that makes sense for now, since this is kind of the only property we're
On our
considering.
radar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, the line that says one of them blighted, unsafe, abandoned, foreclosed, or structurally damaged vacant land. Blighted typically means there's a structure that's fallen apart or something like that on it. It's a weed patch used car lot. I think there's 3 golf carts for sale on it right now. But it's not had a structure on it, so there's nothing really on it. They do have a tendency not to mow and cut the weeds down, but I don't think that qualifies
Yeah,
for
probably not.
any of those things, so. Just vacant land, yeah.
so just to be clear on the process, then we can't approve the quotes for appraisal to move forward until we get the document from legal?
No, I don't think that's true. I think you could approve, you have them, right, and then you can use them, presuming that the timing of them and the quotes will still be good, which I imagine they will.
One of them's 40 days from notice to proceed, the other one's 5 weeks, so they're similar. So if we wanted to proceed with those, you're still talking past the next meeting.
Is there any difference between the appraisals, the $2,000 one and the $1,800 one?
No, they're the
as far
same
as what
thing,
you-
it's just
what you
different
get?
fee.
Okay.
But they're both good companies I've used before, so. So if we want to proceed with that, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Would somebody like to make a motion to proceed with the appraisals? One quote for 2,000 and one quote for 1,800 for the property at Waverly and 20?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
any questions?
I just, kind of not related to that in general, but I did want to ask Mike.
Yep.
Do we have was there any idea on the, what they're looking at, dollar
No.
amount, or?
I have no idea.
No, I didn't know if
No, he-
if
he
anybody
spe-
threw a number out there.
He
on that.
specifically, I sent him a letter that said typically when we purchase land, you do 2 appraisals, and the average of 2 appraisals, and I talked to him on the phone, and he said, yeah, that's fine, they don't have really any idea on the number. So they wanna see what the appraisals
Okay,
come
and does
back.
that property go from 20 all the way to, what's the street behind?
Ed McDashewitz Drive,
Drive.
yes, goes all the way back to that, yeah.
All right.
It's right next to that
Oh,
flooring.
so do they have a survey of that property? That would be a question.
I have a survey, I have an old survey of the property, so the answer is yes, I have an old one.
Okay.
We'd probably wanna update it, but yeah, I have an old one. So I can send that to you if you wanna see it.
No, I mean, that'd be helpful with the appraiser though, if you have a.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
survey.
we know the exact acreage, NDOT did a
Right.
taking over there, so that's been surveyed and it shows all that.
Any other questions? We might have asked this already, and I can't recall the answer, but the grant money that we're planning to use for this, I guess I have 2 questions. Would the appraisals come out of that, or does the RDC pay for that?
RDC would probably pay for that, because those are pretty small items. So the funding that's left, which is $569 and change, could be used for construction of, or purchase, probably, anything that's really tied to DK Trail, Dunes Kankakee Trail, so, when I talked to the RDA about that, they said, well, just pretty much anything you want to use it for that's tied to the trail, so
Do we need to confirm that we could use that money for purchase?
I can do that.
Right, I guess that'd be
Yeah.
the thing, we're gonna build like a trailhead there,
Right.
so would they be acceptable for them? Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, typically, the funding we had was for purchase or construction, any right-of-way purchase or something like that.
So are you confident we could use the grant money to purchase, or is that something that we do need to?
I'll still verify it, but
Okay.
I don't think it's a problem.
Okay, and then does that grant money expire at any point in time?
No, I've spent a long time making sure
Yeah.
it does not.
Okay, thanks.
They'd like us to spend it sooner than later.
Any other questions on the quotes for the appraisals for the property at Waverly and 20? Okay. All in favor of moving the appraisal process forward and approving those quotes? Can you please say aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
The other thing was just on the Minoki Prairie, I keep repeating myself, but it's still an environmental review, so nothing's changed. When it's not, I'll let you know.
You should get a T-shirt that says that.
I just hold up a sign.
So, when you say environment, who's with,
Federal government.
with
Yeah.
the
It's-
Park Service or
it's
the?
NEPA, NEPA review, it's a federal review. Takes a while. We were anticipating it'd be done by fall, so we can start bidding it, so getting close.
Fall of 25?
By fall this year. Yep. But that's all I got on that one.
Anything else to touch on?
Nope.
Any other questions for Mike? Okay. We'll move on to old business and the exterior grant program application. And I guess that kind of ties into the new business as well with the memorandum of understanding, or the MOU, that goes with that program.
Yes, Maura made a few revisions to the app based on our comments, and then just, there was some formatting she had to redo, which I think is all correct, now that I look at it. So that seems to be the way we wanted it.
So I don't recall any other kind of open questions from the last meeting around the exterior grant program. It was really just down to the new business, or the MOU, to make sure that we had the funds at the Porter RDC dedicated to this program stayed with development projects within the town of Porter. And so all of that is outlined in the MOU. It is a pretty straightforward document. The DEDC put it together and our legal team reviewed it, correct?
Yeah. So we did have one question that we just brought up tonight. It says Town of Porter, and Russ asked if it should say RDC, so I
In
don't,
the MOU,
yeah.
where are you?
It says town all the way through there.
Yeah, it was shortened from town of Porter to town.
Well, who will need to sign this? I guess that's one of the questions. Who will need to execute on the town of Porter's behalf? Somebody on the RDC?
Yes.
Will we,
Yeah,
okay.
that, as we were discussing it, it probably should be the
Yeah,
The
RDC.
RDC.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
that makes sense then.
The only other comment I had that I don't know if got passed along or not was making sure that whether it's in a provision, that's what my suggestion would be, but that every participating commission or town is signing an MOU that's the same or similar, right? Or if there's any material changes, that yours should be amended as well, so that everybody is operating under the same rules. I know there'll be guidelines and that'll be a subsequent, but that was the only other change.
Can I ask why you're recommending that? I'm not disputing, I'm just wondering why the recommendation.
So that everybody is following, you know, if they make a side deal, or let's say Chesterton signs something different, or they have a different terminate, so that you're all on
Partly for, it sounds like ease of consistency of administration, that kind of thing, in part?
I would say one, but just to make sure everybody's following the same guidelines, so
Okay.
the same rules.
Okay.
Right? So that if they're gonna be overall seeing, even though every town has input, what if they have an MOU that says they have 5 people on the board, right?
Okay.
You have representation, but if they have something that allows them, wanna make sure that everything is equal, everybody's following the same kind of rules.
Okay.
And again, it's basic, this MOU is pretty straightforward, and the guidelines and the application have the real crux of your agreement, but just wanna make sure everybody's doing the same thing.
Okay.
Can you talk me through, I'm just gonna read the agreement under bullet 1. So from time to time, while this MOU is in effect, the town agrees, subject to availability and budgeting of funds, to contribute funds to the DEDC for use in the DEDC's exterior improvement grant program. Then it says the DEDC agrees that any funds provided by the town for the exterior improvement grant program shall be reserved exclusively for applicants and projects located within the town. So, is that just including an ask, that at some point in time, the DEDC could ask the town of Porter for funding to help support the overall program that might not be specific to our town? And we don't have to necessarily?
Well, I think it is, because one comment I had before Attorney Parkinson's comments was, up above, it says each participating town may contribute. And then that gave me pause of, all right, what if you don't, right? Then it really goes nowhere. But as I read 1, what I think that does is allow you wiggle room, so that if you have funds, but you're not required, it's putting there the vehicle to reserve funds that you do, but you're only required if you have funds available, right? And you're otherwise, and it reconciles, because you may not put anything, right? And then this program ends up, and you guys are at the forefront, all right? You guys are, Mike and I were discussing earlier, hurry up and wait, and you'll be waiting for everybody else to be involved. But yeah, it's addressing that so that it's not mandatory, and it gives you the discretion.
So I had interpreted that like they would potentially ask towns for money for like a general fund for the DEDC's exterior improvement grant program that might not be dedicated to
No.
Porter specifically.
No, it's just giving the vehicle to say if you do, but it's also not requiring you to.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that also suggests that if for some reason any town was participating in the program but temporarily wanted to pause it or something like that, they could effectively do so by slowing contributions or whatever.
Or terminating it.
Or terminating it, yeah.
There's a
Okay.
provision in there to terminate it as well.
And if you don't put any money in it and they have businesses that contribute to it generally, they could spread that out here if they wanted to. So that's separate from this.
Okay, thank you.
So if we want to change Town of Porter to Town of Porter, what did we just say, Town of Porter Redevelopment Commission?
Mhm.
Because if this is going to be written to us, it should be specific to Town of Porter Redevelopment.
I think the intent was to make this generic enough that it could be used for any
Well,
town.
they're gonna all be plugged in, whoever's name is gonna be in the MOU. So generically, the wording's the same, it's just gonna have a different person or different entity at the end. Be DEDC and Town of Chesterton or Town of, Burns Harbor or whatever.
Okay.
But we should probably have it say Town of Porter Redevelopment Commission. I'm not sure what you'd shorten that to. Or just say RDC,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just add the
I'll-
RDC to the,
I'll send that back to Maura and just tell her to change that with this added clause at the end.
Okay. Then, I know with the termination clause, they had originally given 30 days that kind of either party could terminate participation. Do you feel like the edits we made here, I had asked for 90, just under the notion that if we're in the middle of a project, I didn't know how a termination would impact someone that maybe hasn't gotten the funds yet, but we already agreed to give the funds. Do you feel that the language there protects us from that?
I think it gives you more time that you saw it. I think it specifically exempts out those that are already in the process, right? So it won't undercut their project, And the only thing that would really do that, I guess, if you ran out of funds. But I think it protects exactly what you've described.
Okay.
And am I correct in reading that this won't affect existing dispersed funds? We've given the people, I think, a year we're giving them per the main document, right, to complete the project and get reimbursed. All this is saying is that, to your point, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
It's Chris.
Chris.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. To your point, Chris, and to yours too, if we have a 90-day window, then anything, because we're giving people up to 45 days, I think, to approve it. That means nobody gets caught in this thing when they've gone through the trouble and we don't even look at their application. But this doesn't affect, as long as there's money to disperse, this doesn't affect that dispersal down the road if the dispersal happens a year later. Is that correct?
That my head was in a similar place, and so I thought if they were to terminate the agreement and we're in the middle of a project
Yep.
somewhere but haven't dispersed our funds yet.
Or do we need to update this a little bit?
So the termination provision goes to new applications.
Okay, yep.
But it says that it will still address.
Okay, just want to be sure,
pending.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I think the only other thing I brought up, and I think they determined we needed a separate document for it, but wanted to share it with the group. Sometimes there are businesses that will donate funds to things like this. And so I was hopeful that within this agreement or some agreement, it would be stated that those funds would be split equally between the towns that are, engaged in an exterior grant improvement project. And I'm not stuck on that, but do you remember I think they told
Yeah.
us we
I
needed a
think that's
separate
really
agreement for
more of a
that.
DEDC issue, and I don't know why we would wanna dictate that.
Well,
More
We're
did say,
our funds are our funds, but what they do with the other funds isn't really up to us, so I wouldn't confuse that.
yeah, Maura did say that if they got donations like that, it would be split.
Yeah.
Right.
But
But
that's really their
That's their-
function and
their
not us
portion.
dictating to them what to do.
So you don't think we want any protection around that? Say the town of Porter has $10,000 in a fund,
Yeah.
and the other towns don't have anything. I feel like
Our
then
money
it might
goes
be
to
more.
us, but if somebody, let's just say Urschel wants to throw in 50 grand, it's up to the DEDC to decide what to do with that. I
Or
don't think we
wouldn't
have
it be
any-
up to the, like, say, example, if
You're-
Urschel
you-
wanted
you-
to
Yeah,
do,
you'd be on the
but I mean, they
DEDC.
could also dedicate that the funds were to be used
They could, yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
for
Right.
Chesterton or,
Yeah.
right? So it would be more on the donor, how they want to direct the
Right.
funds and that. I don't think it would affect us so much on on our end,
I don't think we can,
You know,
I don't think there's risk to it, but is there opportunity that's potentially lost if they're telling us in these meetings that they will split it all equally? And there's an instance where Chesterton has an applicant but doesn't have the money for it, and we have 10 grand in our kitty that then is money dispersed unfairly? Unfairly is a loose term, but,
I'm still looking at that as two different things. Our money's our money comes back to us, period. Somebody contributes, again, this is a DEDC
Right.
program.
this is one thing, yeah.
So DEDC dictates where the money goes. If somebody gives them a pile of money and they wanna split it, however they wanna see it split, I don't think we can tell them what to do.
And I
That's
think
just
maybe
my
some of
thought.
your leverage going forward is that if you see that happening, you don't participate anymore,
Yeah, you just
right?
bail out.
And you decide to go back to doing it your way or branch off from this. So I know this is an avenue and a tool right now for you to get things off the ground, but given that you do have these meetings and that you are participating, I think the comment was that they would put that in their own policy. So I think that's where it probably
Okay.
is more appropriate. I think it's probably very difficult for you to dictate what they're gonna do with their
Absolutely.
funds, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a voice and that you make sure that that is repeatedly heard by them.
Okay.
And
can follow up
we
with
would
more
have,
on that.
we would have a representative on the DEDC, like we do now. So, that would be our vote right there when they're voting for stuff, but if no one else puts anything in there and somebody says, well, here's generally blank dollars, and the only place anybody's turning something into Porter, then it's more likely we'd get it anyway.
That's a good outlook.
But if they're trying to divvy it up as evenly as they can, then I would imagine that's what they would be doing, is trying to do that. But if you don't have, well, I'm gonna just pick anybody, Beverly Shores, say, didn't put any money in it. If they've got an agreement, but they haven't put any funds in, because they don't have them, and DEDC gets some money, and maybe somebody applied for it, then they could send, funnel it to Beverly Shores project. But it would really should be up to DEDC to decide that, and we do have representation, so we always have a voice.
And it's just the tri-towns anyway, right?
There's supposed to be 5.
Is there 5? I
Yeah.
didn't, Beverly Shores? is involved?
Beverly Shores, Pines, Porter, Chesterton, Dune Acres.
Okay, because that never, I thought it was
That's the
just
5 that are on the DEDC, or should I say chamber?
on the chamber.
Did they set this up? Yeah, way back in there, somewhere she
Right.
put that in there.
But see, the chamber's separate from the
Right,
DEDC also.
but she had 5 communities listed in there. So.
Yeah, so, but the way it was before was funded by the county, was funding the grant program, and it was just as everybody was eligible to take part, and then the DEDC decided who was, what were the better projects to fund. So I guess that, any funds like
So
that
that
would
portion still exists.
would still exist the same way as it did
Okay.
before. It wouldn't affect us in that way. We could benefit from it, but I don't think it would hurt us anything.
Okay.
And Bill just said the word, determine what the best project was, so that's still how they address that stuff, is which one makes the most sense,
Makes sense.
yeah. Now, Corinne had asked me a question earlier, so let's say we put $10,000 in there, I'm just making the number up, and we don't have any projects pop up, and it's sitting over there, can we get that money, claw that back? If we want? Would that be something if you terminated it and there was still money there? Should we have a clawback clause if it's not being used?
Well, that clawback would be during the pendency of the agreement, right? Because the termination already provides that you would get it back, so.
Okay. So that's, we're good with that? Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be returned based on that, but if you're wanting to claw any of that back during that doesn't
Cancel.
clearly say that.
Yeah, okay. But if we do cancel, terminate it, then we can get it back, okay. All right.
I know we have funds set aside for this in the budget,
Mhm.
and it's for an exterior improvement plan.
Mhm.
It doesn't specify that that's through the DEDC. Does that limit our ability to use those funds in that way, or?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
Mm.
thank you.
How much do we have set aside?
It was 10 or 20.
I forgot. One of those two. So basically, I gotta get the verbiage changed to say, Town of Porter RDC, okay. And then I'll pass on your comment, Chris, just the red one. Cool.
Are we able to approve moving this forward with that adjustment of changing the word town to Town of Porter RDC, so that once it comes through, we can sign and move forward?
I don't know why not.
Sure.
Do that.
Are we also going to, per Chris's suggestion,
Yeah.
make sure they include some language on the understanding?
Yep.
Okay.
Like as that comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the motion would be if you were inclined to a pending those two, subject to those two changes.
25,000.
25. Ooh.
What was the section under understanding that,
This note here after 5, that if, to make sure that we all just into, I think as you put the substantially the same agreement.
Right.
Oh, right.
Which I suppose in part gives a little bit of wiggle room, Chris, if there's a genuine need for a small difference, but that's not material, we can also go, yeah, that's close enough. Is that the idea?
That's right.
Okay.
Some attorney might, not
Yeah.
like the exact same word, so.
Yeah, so if it's, as long as we agree it's all close enough, it's not an issue.
would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the MOU pending the changes with the verbiage for the town of Porter, so it reads the town of Porter RDC, and also the second one was the understanding of if anybody changes the MOU.
That,
or
that all
exactly.
participating entities will sign the same or similar.
Right, we'll have a similar MOU.
Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions? Perfect. All in favor of approving the MOU with the changes that Bill just mentioned, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Perfect. So I think once that is complete and signed, then this program
Yes.
will be live.
Yep.
So an exciting time for the RDC to help get the exterior facade program through the DEDC out into the community. So hopefully we get some applicants and can make some changes or improvements.
So how will this work? Well, then, I'm assuming Alice will be the one who will sign it as president, and as soon as that doesn't require another meeting, am I correct in understanding that? Since we've approved the
Since you
MOU?
approved it, yeah, it'll be fine for her to enter.
Okay. Yes, yeah, so we're waiting your signature once it's ready.
And then we'll send out an email with bells and whistles. Okay. Anything else on the exterior grant program or the MOU? All right, any commission comments?
I wanted to bring up we're gonna be doing our spending plan soon, so we need to start thinking about that. I've talked to Jay, and the fire department, part-time employees has been a really successful thing. He'd like to continue to do that. If we wanna do that, we should think about continuing to pay for it, because the council is working on their budgets now.
Okay.
I am gonna have Jay come in probably in August or September and give us kind of a rundown of how successful it was, because some of the numbers are probably gonna surprise you. Our response times and that have been really improved. So,
That's good to hear.
something to think about.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And when is our budget due?
December 1st, isn't it,
Okay.
Corinne?
Any other comments? No? Okay. Well, I know Karen kind of sent out a note that I had written up just about future thoughts and plans as we start to execute some of the things we've been working on previous, so if nobody has any comments on that, I would ask that we all bring comments on that to the next meeting. And maybe we can dive into what our next projects, short-term, mid-term, and long-term will look like.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, with that, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All right, so adjourned.